Alright, today's quite an interesting day here. Lots of stuff here. I don't have the highest quality of images on the background here because I needed a copyright-free picture before I forget. My nephew was just recently accepted in Notre Dame, and I guess he's decided to take that, take them up on that, and also he will be part of the marching band at Notre Dame, which is quite exciting, you know, so because there's lots of Notre Dame games that get played in my area here. You never know, I might see him on camera. You never know, but that's quite exciting for everybody around here. So that is a neat thing to have, and so we'll get into what we have going on here. If you haven't been to this channel before, because I'm posting my record store day pickups a little on the late side, and I'll explain to you why that happened. So if you have not been to my channel, this is basically a channel. All of my subscribers have been earned. I haven't bought or paid for any of the subscribers. Worked really hard to get 900 plus. And I started off as a I don't know what I'm going to do channel. So I basically followed a bunch of friends on YouTube and watched them, you know, collect autographs. So I started posting videos on autographs or stuff. I posted my first video, I think was my childhood magazine collection or something like that, and that's gotten quite a, our first or second video has gotten quite a few views on there. And then I just post, you know, old DVD or VCR tape clips and a few things like that, and those get the most views. If they're old, you know, public broadcasting from the 90s or 2000s, those get plenty of views, and they don't really have any copyright issues unless there's some crazy music in there. So I keep everything as copyright free as much as I can, and just posted another one today. And so I get what we call autographs through the mail, and this is no exception. I can't remember if I think he used his own envelope. I'm pretty sure I put an envelope there. Maybe he destroyed it or lost my envelope. I'm not 100% sure. But this is coming out of Florida. This is Jason Frazier, a former MLB baseball player here. There's my note there. I explained to him that it was a special card that I was sending, and it is. I like this set here. It's some sort of, I don't know, you have no idea what parallel that is, but it's numbered to 99. I don't even remember how I got this, but it's number 35 out of 99. There's a serial number, and that's very all important for those people who also do record store day, because the people that were looking for records, they were banking all their hits and their finds on the limited amount of records that were available. So what I did for record store day, and I think that's all I need to talk about autographs here, what I did for record store day was very similar to a lot of people, but very different from a lot of people. Most, if not all of my friends, one guy's on the fence. He almost went to record store day from what I understand, and he actually researched some of the titles. All my other friends don't even look at the list, and they just call it a scam, and they think I just get tricked into going. And that's not reason why I didn't go. It's just that I had an inkling that it was going to be crazy like the previous time. I didn't have the necessary funds until the day after to purchase what I wanted, and things were just flying off the shelves and going to like really silly on eBay and all the different platforms. Things were just disappearing faster. Also, I do not want to basically buy stuff on Saturday when it's not really kosher to do so, if that makes sense. If record store day, before those people who don't really understand it, is like Comic-Con, but it's at every store in either the United States, Canada, and the UK, and all that stuff, Australia, all those places. And they essentially have regional issue releases that get shipped to some of those areas. They have UK releases, and sometimes they have worldwide and US and UK releases. Sometimes the US buyers want those UK releases really bad, and so on and so forth. So crazy amounts of money gets traded online in a few days. And right now the feeding frenzy has died down a little bit, but man, people are still trying to get, you know, because there are a few people that didn't go because they had to juggle their finances to just get even one record, which was kind of like what I did. And there were things that I decided against too, because again, I don't feel like I really want to spend $60 on a single LP that I might listen to twice. But this one has the original price tag on it, and I'll show you what it is. This is $33.99, I believe is what that was, or something like that. So essentially that's technically what I paid. maybe a little bit more than that, like $1 more or something for some sort of taxes or whatever happened. I don't know exactly what it was listed online for, but it's something like $8 for shipping. So it came out to like $43. I was not unhappy at all. So this is the Stuart Copeland, and I'm going to have a really big glare problem with the screen here, but it's the Stuart Copeland, the Rhythmatist. I'm not sure if that's the original cover or an alternate shot there. I want to say that that's not the original cover there. And then it's got the ever popular Record Store Day hype sticker on there, which we all like to keep. Many of my releases from previous don't have the fantastical Record Store Day sticker there. This, from all intents and purposes, was technically limited to 1,200. And so it was just amazing. And again, people were paying upwards of $100 for this plus shipping online. And I want to say this is when he went to Africa. I don't know a whole lot about this. Yeah, African Dream is the last one there. So experimental stuff that they did. If you don't know, Stuart Copeland was the drummer for the Police, and he's in his early 70s now, I think. But I learned about him from the episode of Storage Wars. You know, you don't learn much from Storage Wars, and I guess he's technically a friend of Barry's, or that's how it was set up, Barry Weiss, which I do have his autograph. And so, interesting thing there, and talked about, and Barry had his some drums signed by Stuart Copeland, and Stuart says, oh great, you just lowered the value of the drums, or something to that effect there. So I always remembered that episode, and I was always kind of jealous, and so I picked this one up, and this one says it's a limited edition, includes exclusive Rhythmatist print hand-signed by Stuart Copeland. So that's a very important sticker to have. Newly mastered and repressed on vinyl for the first time since its original release in 1985. I believe that's 1985. Yes, and that's when I just moved here to Oregon. So exclusively for Record Store Day blue translucent vinyl. So I basically sliced open the edge here. I like to keep the plastic if I can for now, and then we'll see if I want to, remove the plastic at a later date here, and that just opens super easy. I had a little razor blade here which has since disappeared here, so I want to carefully get that corner there. And we'll just open this up here. Sometimes it catches on the corner here, but I want to say that this is the print here. So there's Stuart Copeland, the Rhythmatist. I'm not going to frame this, but it is perfect for framing. There is Stuart, I believe, right there. Very cool. I mean, that is definitely him amongst all these people here. But the gold Sharpie or whatever that is very cool to have that. That is worth the price of admission, and that's really essentially why I wanted this. There were not a lot of autographed Record Store Day releases, and again, a lot of stores, this was 1,200. If there was approximately 1,000 plus stores that were participating, then barely even one copy per store got these. That's crazy, and his autograph probably got a little tired after a while, so it's signing 1,200 copies. I haven't signed that many things before, but yeah, I'm familiar with signing lots and lots of documents there. And then we'll get into the actual reason why we buy these things here, to just line our shelves with extra stuff here. Sometimes these are very difficult to get out of here. We always check to make sure there's nothing else inside there, and you can see that's completely empty. And then once I'm done with this, I'll explain what I did the rest of Record Store Day weekend. I was at a card show on Sunday, a sports card. Mostly it turned out to be Pokemon, and it was a bad event for those people who did cards. One guy did really well, but the rest of the card guys were just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing here. But there's another shot there with some sort of boom mic or something right there. All music written, recorded, and performed by Stuart Copeland. So you just basically think of him as a drummer. So anyway, it's just really interesting thing there. And then there's some shots from Africa there, I believe, right there. Not sure exactly where that exactly take place here, but let's get the vinyl record out of here. Oh my gosh, yeah. This reminds me of that blue record of Elvis. Was it Moody Blue? That's the common one. And then the black one, which I think I might have had and didn't keep it because I wasn't smart. That is very similar to that. So there's a lot of colored vinyl out there, which really excites everybody. There's only a minority of people, and you can see there's a little bit of wear already on this here. And that could have happened in the shipping to the store or to wherever, but I'm not worried about that. Some people will put a polyline sleeve in here and take care of it that way. I don't have access easily to polyline sleeves, so I might have to go online if I really want to take care of this one here. In fact, I might even put the print in the polyline sleeve if it would fit. So that's very, very cool to have this. Again, I mean, there's no gatefold or anything, so there's no reason to yank the plastic off there. I've essentially basically relieved the tension of here. So unless for some reason there's some heat wave or something like that, I think I should be okay, because the plastic feels a little bit on the loosey-goosey side. So I think we should be okay. So the rest of the, and we'll just show you, we'll just set this back here for now. The rest of my record store day purchases are not going to be here for a little while. And the reason is that, you know, because stuff I was purchased on Monday. So I had the sports card show all of Sunday, and so I couldn't do any shopping, serious shopping, until afterwards, until all the dust had settled. I was like, and I was writing different comments on different YouTube channels, and I said, this is what I was looking for, and I didn't get it because I couldn't go out. So I said I was sort of looking for the Dinosaur Jr. And then so somebody pointed me in the direction of Dinosaur Jr. I had the piece of paper where this came from here. This record came from Out of the Past Records in Chicago. So if anybody knows Out of the Past, I don't know if, well, no, that's St. Louis. I don't know. I was thinking Chance might know. I was thinking of the guy from Concert Buddy. But if anybody knows Out of the Past in Chicago, Illinois, that's where this came from. The label was very, very tacked on very quickly. They had to probably do crazy tons of orders and get things out. So very, very cool. Somebody had posted that. But I was like, oh man, the Dinosaur Jr. is a little bit more than I want to spend. It was like probably 60 odd bucks. It's like, the plus shipping, that'll be like 70. But then I was scrolling through and saw Stuart Copeland. I said, that's still there? That's still there? The autographed one? And $34, I couldn't buy that fast enough. I could not buy that fast enough. Didn't say how many copies they had, but I took it. While other people have crazy bids on there. And the funny thing is that the record store day releases get put up on eBay the day of, and some of those have like a week. And so while everybody's buying the releases, people are wondering if they're going to be high bid or not. And then if they do any social media, they're going to be late to the party, because there's a week and then another week for the stuff to arrive. Shockingly, this was ordered Sunday night around 8 o'clock or something ridiculous. So it should have, in all intents and purposes, been gone. Somewhere between 7 and 8, I think, is when I ordered it. Now fast forward to Monday. I'll just move this out of the way, I guess. Fast forward to Monday. We'll just put Jason Fraser up here. Fast forward to Monday, and he's he was a pitcher for Texas. Fast forward to Monday, and I said, you know, I only bought one release. I have a little bit of extra dollars. Let's see what I can do. So I found a record store on Discogs, and they had the Jeff Buckley. And the Jeff Buckley was disappearing and going back and disappearing and go back and disappearing. And then I'm hearing horror stories of people leaving negatives all over eBay when things were canceled, orders were canceled. Some of that was because the orders were going in so fast and forward, and a lot of times people had them listed on eBay, and they had to be canceled because they were also on Discogs and different platforms and stuff like that. And people were ordering the exact records at the exact same time. So, you know, they were the first one, and it's like the Jeopardy buzzer. Even though all three contestants probably had the right answer, Jamie Ding came in there just before. He dinged them and just got in there right before and answered correctly. And like, oh man, I knew that, you know, but they were just like a split second too late. So this one of the sellers that was duly on eBay and Discogs, they went from something like a 97 to a 91 in one weekend or something crazy. So I think that's what happened. But anyway, so I went to this record store in New York. That's where that was on Discogs, and I said, hey, there's a couple of releases. I'm not looking at the record store day releases because maybe they were not listed yet or they were just disappearing too fast. The Jeff Buckley was going for like 15 bucks, which is at least $10 cheaper than Jeff Buckley Live. And I thought about getting it. I still see copies listed all over the place because there was 15,000 copies, not 1,200 like the Stuart Copeland. So I said, okay, well, let's take a look at this. And then I was dejected because I found a record for $2, brand new factory sealed from who knows when. Then I found a record store day release, which was more of like a regional type of thing. Like I think they were at a Venice Beach or something. It was like a concert or something, or a live album they put together. I think I found it on YouTube. I said, oh wow, it's thrash metal, but I kind of enjoyed it a little bit. So I said, let me get both of those. Long story short, Jeff Copeland, it's been a long time. Jeff Buckley disappeared. And then somehow I clicked my order through, or something happened, and I said, I don't really care about the Jeff Buckley, and those other 2 releases disappeared. I thought, well, crud. But I had problems with my Discogs a year ago or something like that. So my emails come through on a different computer because I had to use a different email, so on and so forth. And there it was, dinging me to pay or something like that, which I thought I had paid, so I have no actually earthly clue what happened. So I went and paid for those and ignored the Jeff Buckley. All the while, I'm flipping back before the same seller, I can't think of their name right now, and on eBay, and they had, for $5.99, a lot of 5 records plus whatever shipping came out to about 13 or so. And so I'm getting a mystery bag of 5 LPs, plus I'm getting 2 brand new factory sealed LPs that were a total of 13, so another 20. So I ended up spending $30 odd plus $26 essentially, or 40 and 26. So that was really reasonable, and I stayed well under $100, which was great. And I actually had sort of the funds to back it up. So that was really what my head goal and plan to do. And again, I saw other people that were filming and documenting the stores, how that worked out to where they got to their spot in line and got what they wanted, or they just waited until the end of the line and see if they got whatever they wanted. And some people just stayed home and then just shopped online because they have these, quote, secret stores that always seem to have what they want. But unfortunately, all these secret stores are becoming not secret. And so there might be an influx of people that might stay home and hope and pray they get the stuff. The Weezer album, which was numbered to 5,000, or I say numbered, because most of these things are actually not even hand numbered anymore. I couldn't find anywhere when I was showing this to you any kind of markings to say that this is, vinyl record number, 75 out of 1200 or something like that. And some years they actually did that. They foil stamped the numbers, or they, I've seen that. Why couldn't they just do that like the baseball cards, like this Jason Fraser? This one is numbered 35 out of 99. Why couldn't they do that? But, there's other reasons why they don't do that, because there's promotional copies that go out and review copies and other kinds of fun things that makes the numbers kind of weird, because they do probably one smattering of it and do a few extra. And if you're in the book printing business, sometimes you get a few extra books there, and you can either send them out to people, or you could just go ahead and sell them and tell no one, sort of thing. So it was a great time for me. I spent, within my means. I got a record store day release. I got a previous record store day release from 2022 or something like that, and I got a brand new record for a whopping $2. Plus I have a mystery bag. I ran the gamut. I got one of everything, essentially. So a fun time was had by me after I just said, you know what, this FOMO has got to go out the window. And I said, there's no FOMO. If I get nothing, I'll just go to, my whole plan was, if I get totally skunked on record store day, I'm just going to go to Discogs and just buy some ancient record store day releases for next to nothing, and then call it a day. And I was going to be in the $25 range or less, and I was. So very happy with that. Hope everybody got one of the records they wanted, and if they got none of them, they're going to go back to the market very shortly when other record stores finally get around to selling them. Some stores are loath to put them on the week of, or a couple weeks. They'll just, sell them directly in store, and their customers will slowly and surely buy those, and then eventually they might show up online. So, not every record store does the same thing. Some record stores, unfortunately, basically kept a few back for themselves, and, skunked their customers, and then doubled them online. Some of the places I bought from were very legit, but sometimes they also had crazy, stupid prices on a couple of them where they blasted something out. So they were lowering the prices on some and raising the prices on others, which, makes no sense. It's the same either way, but whatever. Just a crazy time. Everybody had the news broadcasted everywhere. Our local stores were ransacked, crazy times. I mean, I heard about the long lines people saw, people just waiting out for days. You know, somebody, I can't remember, it was 7 o'clock the previous day, the people started lining up. Absolutely nutty. But the big consensus is that the people that just poo-pooed Record Store Day are now in the minority, and the people that enjoyed Record Store Day are in the majority, and thank you for watching.